Friends, viewers, watchers, fans, followers, cheerleaders from within Nigeria, across Africa, and around the world. This is Smart Madu Ajaja, the anchor of Nigeria Now at ONN and the Nightingale Radio International, and the convener of Open Nigeria and Africa Unite. How are you all doing? Yes, today makes it 23 years since the United States was hit by terrorists in a twin attack. Three actually, triple, that hit the Twin Towers and the Pentagon. Yeah, I remember that they haven't arrived Omaha, Nebraska from Houston, Texas on a Southwest airline flight. I was at the chemistry department of the University of Nebraska at Omaha, waiting for one of my friends who teaches chemistry there to come out of class. And I was watching CNN on their visitors lobby when the first plane hit the Twin Tower. And we thought it was like a joke or a movie. And before we knew it, another one happened. The worst day I've ever experienced since I came to the United States nearly 30 years ago. Why was that? Because some people were out to reorder the world, you know, took it upon themselves, you know, to hit, killing over 3,000 nationals from across the world, countries across the world. There was hardly any country that was spared of this hell of attack. And what lesson do we learn? I was a victim, big time, immediate victim, because for a whole week I couldn't leave Nebraska. We were the very first set of people who had the courage to board an airplane again after the attack. I was even contemplating renting a vehicle to drive myself back to Houston before they opened the skyways. Yes, and 2 years down the line, I found myself in a big trouble. Yeah, involving the homeland security in relation to terrorism. I was investigated for terrorism for 10 years, nearly 10 years. Yes, and it was such a harrowing experience. I was monitored, I was videoed, I was recorded, I was directly watched, I was bumped off airplanes minutes before departure. Some of the saddest one was the one that happened too. One happened in Spokane, Washington, coming back to Houston. And I was singled out, you know, for a criminal, something like it made me like a criminal. I'm not an Arab. My name, I don't know if my name was suggestive of one that was an Arab. Yeah, but people had to do what they had to do to secure their country. You know, I give it to them. But that another one that happened was on a flight coming from Lubbock, Texas. Just a few seconds. I was actually already in the plane, and I was bumped off, taken out from the plane, and then delayed after this crazy search. You know, the searches were done to make you angry, so you'll be arrested, you know, and then get lost. Anyway, so that was what happened. What landed me in trouble was my brother, my friend, my brother, my cousin came from Nigeria and wanted to see Galveston Island here near Houston. And we went together, you know, happily. I had my camera and all that. Then we were taking pictures. Yes, but I didn't know that somebody was watching as we were taking picture, and it wasn't. We're not committing any crime, so I didn't feel guilty doing that. Yeah, that was what changed the course of my story in America for nearly 10 years. Yes. By the time we got home, I didn't know that the FBI had followed us to my residence. In fact, they slept in front of my house. And only they woke me up by 6 a.m., knocking at my door. And my wife opened the door and rushed back to tell me FBI, FBI. I said, "Oh, FBI, why are they here? What did you do?" I said, "I didn't do anything, and I don't think that is a right question to ask. Let's allow them in to find out what their mission was." And they came in. One was black, the other one was white. The white one was really very nasty, very rude, very disrespectful. And he was talking crazy to me. I said, "No, you don't talk to me the way you are talking to me, because I know deep down in me, I am not a criminal. I didn't do anything. But if you have any evidence, any proof of wrongdoing against me, please tender it." That was when the black guy cut in and said, "Oh, I'm sorry. Were you in Galveston?" I said, "Yeah, I was in Galveston." I said, "Yeah, that's the reason why we're here." I said, "Okay, what about Galveston?" He said somebody reported me as taking picture of tall buildings. Oh my God. I said, "Okay, here we go." So terrorism, that's what it is. So I'm perhaps surveying tall buildings, that terrorists needed to strike. And then they asked me questions about how I came into the country. And as I was giving my answers, they were looking into their computer. Which airport? When did you leave? Which country did you leave? I left from South Africa. That was like where I came here from. Then I stopped. My first major stop was in JFK. From there I connected a flight to Dallas. And then later drove down to Houston. So those were the questions, and all that and that. By the time it was over, I offered them the camera that I had. They said they didn't want it. I said, "Okay." I thought it was over. I didn't know it was the beginning of so much to come. The following day, another group came as I was trying to step out of my house. And they knocked. And this time they came with guns and all that. So I was wondering, what's this whole thing about? And then I told them, yesterday some people were here. Oh, they said, "Oh, really?" I said, "Yeah, it doesn't look like you guys are coordinated." But they did all that to save their country. Now, why am I asking this? Why am I saying this? Looking at Nigeria, where I was born and where I come, and how this massive, embarrassing security embarrassment and security compromise that is going on in Nigeria right now, where nobody can be so sure of the next minute. So I give a thumb up for America for being so proactive in protecting their country. But again, now this whole thing of terrorism, counter-terrorism, all the things that is going on earth today, it borders on one thing: socio-economic justice. The world is spiraling out of control. Since 9/11, the world still has not known peace. In fact, things are getting out of control. What is the reason why people are fighting? Why are people waking up, to go and do stuff like this? This very damaging, very, very caustic, and things that have lasting consequences on families and on the world. The world has not been the same since 9/11. What can be done? What can be done to stem the tides of these attacks and counter-attacks? What is responsible? Isn't it time we have a second look, or we had a second look at the Constitution of the United Nations? Is the United Nations still relevant, or is that body still doing what it was created to do for the whole world, to bring about global peace and global security and global justice? This is where we have some questions. Why is it that the United Nations has only 5 members of its permanent security arrangement or setup? Why are other countries not involved, so that decisions on global issues will be made, from a standpoint of a consensus, a broader consensus that will involve everybody? So these are the questions that we must be asking, so we can truly have global peace and global security. Why would some countries go out there to, want to impose on that, like what is happening in Africa, what Imperial Europe has done to Africa for hundreds of years without remorse, and every generation they get worse. What these are the things that create the frustration that lead people into doing all these things. Isn't it time we take a second look, or we took a second look at how we run the world, how we treat ourselves, how we look at the world, and make amends where necessary to bring about this needed global peace and security. So all of us, one humanity, made by one almighty God, we look at each other with love and affection, respect for human dignity, in a world where no one will impose himself as superior and the others as inferior, which, relating it now to the speech made by Emperor Haile Selassie of Ethiopia in 1963, which Bob Marley put into a song called War, until the philosophy which holds one race superior and the other inferior is finally and permanently discredited and abandoned, everywhere will be war. Let us take a moment. Let us take a day like this, remembering that anguish, that hell of a pain that was inflicted on the people of the world by some mindless extremists. Yes, whatever drove their, whatever they did is best known to them. But we must not look away from the global injustice, the global socio-economic injustice that has placed some countries permanently in poverty situation that they may never get out of. Let us be a little more humane. This is the reason why there is a need for the younger generation, those who may be presidents, those who may be prime ministers, those who may be key policy makers and global drivers, to start thinking about a better way of bringing the world together to achieve the social justice, peace, and security we need. Thank you very much. And our hearts, on behalf of ONN, goes out to the families and countries, including the United States, who lost their citizens in that mayhem of 9/11 that happened in 2001. God bless the world. And may God give us the leaders who will not perpetually plunge the world into another hell that we may never recover from. Bye for now.